If you are an IT disposal company, this is how you can get 10 to 30 qualified leads without cold calling. Quick background about myself. My name is Luis Ortega, founder of Accelo Marketing. We are a B2B lead generation agency. This is the exact services that we do for our clients. And in today's video, I'm going to teach you how. So the main problem that IT disposal companies have is they mostly rely on three things. First is referrals. Second are Google Ads. And third is random brokers. But this will lead you to these problems. You would get unpredictable leads because imagine if you are only relying on referrals, how often do you really get a referral that will consistently give you leads month after month? Not that often. I'm not discrediting referrals, but I'm saying if you're receiving a referral, then good job for you, because the only time that a company would refer something to you is that if you're really doing a great job. But if you want growth, you need predictable pipeline. So another problem that you could encounter is empty pipelines. And a last problem that you could encounter is price shoppers and low margins. So what is the solution to this? The solution is you reach out directly to the decision makers. I'm talking about CIOs, IT directors, operations managers, etc. And how do you do that? You do that by sending a cold email. So this is you reaching out directly to the IT manager, operations manager, CTO, CIO, and whatever decision maker that can allow you to generate a lead, right? This is the type of results that we've generated for our clients. I'm just going to show you before we proceed into the actual value. So let me show you. David, I might have depending on the value. This is the CTO. David as well. Hey, Louis, we do a certification process, etc., etc. Yes, I might have some items. This is a CTO. Absolutely, we are moving locations. We have some equipment to recycle and much more. We got an IT manager, director of technology, procurement manager, IT director, operations managers. This is the type of results that you can get. How is this supposed to generate you leads, 10 to 30 qualified leads, if you're just sending cold email, right? That's the main question. You do it at scale. Just imagine the decision makers, but instead of you acting alone, we would set up an infrastructure that could allow you to send multiple inboxes. This is just a demonstration, but just imagine this at scale. You're now sending on behalf of 50, 100 inboxes, reaching out on your company's behalf, right? So how do you actually do it? The first step is to build an infrastructure. What do you mean by infrastructure? This is where the emails are going to come from. And how do you do that? To simply explain to you step by step, I prepared a step-by-step process here. First, you buy the domains. This is my domains right here for Accelo Marketing. And then you create the inboxes. Literally multiple inboxes per domains. Once you get that done, you will now set it up in a warm-up process, because if you send emails from a brand new account, Google or Outlook will probably report you as spam, flag you as spam, right? And then lastly, you maintain the inboxes. What I mean by this is that if an inbox is performing well, you increase the sending volume. If an inbox is not receiving replies, you decrease it. Just basics, right? The second part is this. You create a prospect list. What do you mean by that? This is who you'll reach out to via email. This is the actual people, the decision makers. Now, first is you do the ICP research. For those of you who doesn't know the term, ICP means ideal customer profile. And then once you figure that out, who you're reaching out to, where are they located, what are the usual job titles, etc., and then you proceed with a scraping. Scraping is just you getting the data from data providers like Apollo, ZoomInfo, Clutch, depending on where your target market is. So this is an example of how the scraping would look like. And then second, once you get the emails, you will now proceed into validation. What do you mean by validation? You would use tools like Rion, Million Verifier to verify if the actual email that you're going to be sending to are real. Because the last thing you want to do is reach out to decision makers that you thought are actively working on that company, but is no longer with them. So you got to validate immediately, right? And then the last step is to enrich. What do you mean by enrichment? For some cases, there would be times where you need certain information that an AI could assist you where. You could use tools like clay.com to find certain information that only manual steps could do, but instead of doing it manually, going to their website, finding out where they're located, you can use the power of AI to do it at scale. Because imagine you're sending to tens of thousands of emails. You don't want to manually research it. It would take you months, right? So instead, you leverage the power of AI, and it would look something like this. You can research if they're B2B or B2C companies, etc., etc. Now, next step is you write the actual script. What do you mean by this? This is what you'll say on the actual email. So there's a whole navigation to how you can write an email script, but I'll break down my simple, proven process to this. First is you find the pain point. If you know that they're in the healthcare space, they might be concerned about compliance, and then you can turn that into an email. And then once you know that their pain point is this, you can now propose a solution to their pain point, and then you can proceed with a call to action. So for example, if they're an IT director that is in the healthcare space, I might write something like along the lines of compliance, right? And then a call to action is something that you're proposing the next step that we should do after this. For example, if they're an IT director, you can say something like, would you like me to send you a bid for or a quote with the list of equipments? Could you send over a list of equipments that you're looking to dispose of? Things like that. And then you create spin tags. What do you mean spin tags? Spin tags is just you creating multiple variations of words so that Google or Outlook couldn't detect if this is a templated email or not. And then lastly, you would write multiple variations. What is the difference by this? Well, spin tags is the actual email. So for example, I could say, hi Louis, hello Louis, hey Louis, right? That is just a spin tags in the same email one. But multiple variations is just thinking of creating multiple angles. For example, I could create about compliance. I could create about decommissioning. So you could write multiple angles that would target that you could test out, because the last thing that you wanted to do here is that write an email copy and then blame it on the campaign that is not working. You should always test multiple variations. Okay, so hope that helps you, but let's proceed with the next one, which is operations. Okay, because as you know, sending emails are very simple upfront, but what makes it complicated is now you're sending it at scale. The translation to this is, instead of you manually sending the emails, you let an AI send it for you. What do you mean by this? Automation. So you can use tools like Instantly, Smartlead, Email Bison to automate this. And then the way you could automate is just by setting up the campaign, uploading the list, connecting your inboxes, and setting up the campaigns. Once you set up the campaigns, they will now send the emails on your behalf. And then second part of the operations is you have to manage the replies. Imagine you're sending tens of thousands of emails. The replies will come in. So how do you manage it? You have to create a step-by-step process on what to reply on each scenario. If they're interested, what do you do? Do you send an intro immediately? Do you have a qualification? If they're not interested, would they have a certain period where we can check back in, because we can still follow up, right? And then lastly, once someone is interested, what do you do from there? We make the intro, or it's either you have a business development representative that can take over the lead, or whoever is in charge of the sales process could take over from here. The moment that we find an interested lead, the main thing that you want to do from there is to push it to the next step. Lastly, optimization. Translation to this is use existing data to get better results. So the first step that you got to do there, figure out what's working and what's not working, because if an email, you've tested out multiple variations, and then you have come to find out that email 1B is working extremely well compared to the rest, then what you should do, double down on it, create multiple variations of that same angle, because you already know that this angle works. Why not create more of it, right? Second thing, you can follow up on old leads. For example, you've been running this for 30 to 60, 90 days already, and then some of the leads have told you that they're not interested now, but check in with me 60 days after, 30 days after, next month. You can now follow up with them. And then lastly, you can get fresh data, because if I know that in particular market of Texas, there have been companies that are interested, then we can expand on there more. You can use certain key points once you have enough data. The only thing you got to do is follow this step by step, and now you can launch a cold email campaign. But why did I specifically black this? Because to tell you honestly, this is the whole services that we offer for IT disposal companies. So we will do this entire thing. The only thing we need help from you is the ICP research. We'll figure out who have you previously helped with, what are their current locations, who are you usually speaking with, what are their job titles, figure it out. The main purpose of our service is to take care of the entire process so that you can continue focusing on closing the deals once a lead is interested. If you are an IT disposal company and you're looking for a new channel to generate leads for your company, and you don't want the hassle of doing all of this, we can take care of everything for you. Book a call with me, excelmarketing.com. We can figure it out, see if it's a great fit, and if it is, we can get you started. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe.